Joining me is our legal analyst, Pate, to give some insight and perspective on this. So the defense arguing Ross Harris no longer can get a fair trial. Do they have a point here?
They do have a point. I think ultimately, they lost the argument in front of the judge. It's not good enough for an appeal. They're not going to overturn the verdict if he is found guilty because of this. But I understand their point. It is very prejudicial to put a jury in the same position that the defendant would have been in, but they have a different perspective. They may be taller, they may be shorter, but they're picturing how Ross Harris must have felt and what he must have seen when he looked into the car.
If it's very prejudicial, then why would the judge even allow for this exhibit to take place?
That's a great question. Judges have to balance how much probative value, we call it, how valuable is this particular piece of evidence to the trial versus how prejudicial it is. And if the judge finds that the value of the evidence is greater to determine what happened than it is prejudicial, she's going to allow it in, and that was the decision.
So is the advantage the prosecution at this point?
Oh, absolutely. Any type of demonstration like that where you put the jury literally in the shoes of the defendant is almost always going to benefit the state.
Right, and you bring emotion right dead center into this case and into the case for the prosecution.
You can hear testimony all day long. You can look at documents, text messages, but when you're standing there at the car where he would have been, that's very powerful.
We're hearing that the prosecution could, in fact, rest its case tomorrow. Do you think that they've made a convincing argument?
Only the jury knows that. At this point, we've heard all the...
What you've heard, where do you suspect?
Well, we heard the evidence we expected to hear. There was really no smoking gun. A lot of the noise they made early on about the searches he was doing on the internet, some of that panned out, some of that didn't. I think this jury is left with the impression that obviously this person, Ross Harris, was more interested in who he was sexting and what he was saying than his kid. But is there enough to say he intentionally killed Cooper? I haven't seen it yet.
I want to circle back a little bit to the emotion in the trial, because today was certainly an emotional day, but we've seen emotion from Ross Harris himself on several occasions throughout the trial thus far. How do you think that is playing with the jury?
Well, the jury's always going to look at the defendant and try to pick up verbal cues. How is he acting? Because while you're listening to the evidence, that's the guy that's accused of the offense. And, can I read him? Can I tell whether he's being truthful, honest? Is this somebody I can trust? So you try to advise your client if you're at the defense table. Look, certainly don't glare at the jury, don't look down all the time. It's a hard thing to do. I think they will naturally feel that he was emotional when they talked about Cooper dying. I think anybody would be, whether you intended to kill him or not. It's hard to say. Some jurors will be affected by that more than others, and we'll hopefully know within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll see what the defense puts on next.
Right.
All right, Paige, always good to talk to you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thanks.